This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space.
Yeah, boy!
My guest today is Colin Pape. Colin is the founder of Presearch, a community-powered decentralized search engine that provides better results while protecting your privacy and even rewarding you when you search. Sounds pretty cool. Welcome to the show, Colin.
Thanks so much for having me, Andy. Great to be here.
All right, great to have you here. Just before we get into Presearch, and this is, it's really interesting sounding idea, Colin. Just before we get into that, why don't you introduce yourself? Just love to hear a little bit about your background and your personal story. When you first got introduced to blockchain, you know how it works. Take it away, Colin.
Sure, yeah. So my name's Colin Pape. I'm located in Canada, just north of Toronto. Been in blockchain specifically since about May 2017, but interested in alternate currencies for quite a bit longer. Involved in kind of the local space, looking at community currencies for about a decade before that. And always kind of involved in search, particularly local search on behalf of small businesses, and had a bit of a run-in with Google in 2011 where they blacklisted a bunch of websites that we operate, and was involved in an FTC investigation into Google in 2011. And that really kind of opened my eyes into just how much market power Google had and how concentrated the search space was. And that was really kind of the genesis for the concept of Presearch.
Yeah, very nice. And look, interesting that you should mention Google and, what's happening there, because I was going to actually mention that because as I understand it, there's always these kind of antitrust court filings that are filed against the likes of Apple and Google and Facebook and the big tech companies in general. But I know there was just a really recent one happening that I believe focused on Apple and Google, and just again it's about the kind of the monopolistic power that they have over their ecosystems. Whether with Apple it's the App Store, right? And they have some fairly restrictive guidelines on who can or cannot enter the App Store and what kind of conditions they can do so. And it's obviously the same with Google and their their advertising business and their control over search, right?
Yeah, it's incredibly concentrated, just the entire online space really. In 2021, I mean, you've got Google with the #1 search engine, the #1 email platform, #1 maps, #1 video, #1 mobile operating system. I mean, the list goes on. And when you get all these different systems connected, and there becomes a really significant moat around Google's business that becomes really challenging for competitors to crack. And really does end up locking consumers into kind of this dominant ecosystem, and then you've got that happening in 3 or 4 different spots online, and effectively you've got a handful of companies that basically control the internet for everybody, and it's kind of worrisome, definitely.
It is worrisome, and this kind of really cuts to the core of what a decentralized crypto movement is all about, right? So it's really about disrupting, or if not disrupting, cutting out the need for this kind of centralized authority in the middle, right? So that could be, again, Facebook or Google or Apple, or it could be a bank, right? So if the best way to compete with these kind of massive centralized monopolistic corporations, in this case, that they kind of dominate search. So we're talking about Google really. So and what you guys are trying to do is build a framework to enable people from all over the world to kind of collaborate on this open, decentralized search engine. So that's a kind of a nice introduction to what you're doing with Presearch, I guess. But man, let's be honest, it does sound like quite a challenge, Colin, to compete with the likes of Google.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is. In North America, Google's got more than 90% market share. You've got a handful of other competitors that have some traction. I mean, Bing is fairly big due to the Microsoft integration. DuckDuckGo's kind of been the only real upstart over the past decade that's really made much headway in search, and even them, they've got 1.5% market share. And so, yeah, it's definitely challenging. We've got our work cut out for us. But I think really the difference in kind of how blockchain potentially enables projects like ours to level the playing field is really just getting that alignment between all the different stakeholders in the ecosystem. So you've got with a traditional venture capital backed, let's say, startup, they're generally based in one location, usually Silicon Valley. You've got a VC investor that kind of has their objective, which is to get a 100x return on their capital, and that kind of requires pressuring the company to find some type of an exit, whether that's an acquisition or going public. And then you've basically got this whole kind of class of investors that has this objective to basically maximize the cash flow, maximize the stock returns. And in a lot of cases, that comes at the expense of the other participants in the ecosystem. So it might be the searchers, which is why they end up doing all the tracking and the profiling and invading of privacy, because it's a way to increase the monetization. And then you've got basically this kind of black box advertising system that the marketers really don't know, kind of what's happening behind the scenes, but it's an auction-based system, and it's optimized to extract as much revenue as possible from that class of participants. And so you've kind of got this misalignment where, as a project like Presearch, it was basically crowdfunded, similar to like a Kickstarter for a digital product. So the people that have kind of backed the project are aligned around the token. That was basically what they purchased in the crowd sale. And then we have the searchers who are being rewarded for their time and attention and the information that they're putting into the system in the form of Presearch tokens. And then you have the advertisers who are buying Presearch tokens and then staking them in order to have their ads displayed. And so you've got basically everybody aligned around one unit. And that is, I think, the fundamental difference with these blockchain projects and more traditional venture capital-backed tech businesses.
Very nice, Colin. And so now, when you talk about the ability of people in the Presearch community, to stake tokens and things like that. So, you're describing already a reasonably sophisticated, decentralized ecosystem. So I think we better, let's start from the top again, just to kind of understand what you're building with Presearch, right? So why don't you just start again with Presearch. Love to, I think we kind of understand the need for it now to kind of build something that's a bit more fairer and doesn't have the monopolistic power of a Google. But so what is Presearch and what are the goals?
Yeah, so I mean, it is a decentralized community-powered search engine. So, on top of the blockchain aspect, I think that one of the other really revolutionary components to a lot of blockchain projects is just the accessibility of the teams that are building these projects. So we've got a Telegram group. It's t.me/presearch. Anybody can join. They can interact with me, interact with other members of our team, and basically help steer the direction of the project, contribute ideas, introduce different connections that somebody might have. And so they're really kind of involved at the grassroots level in the building and steering of the project. And so what we are building from a technological standpoint, we've developed this decentralized node-based system. So it enables anybody to run on either their home computer, or many of them are purchasing virtual private servers at data centers. So you can go on any of the different hosting companies, and you can, for like $3 to $5 a month, rent a server, and then you basically install this software on it, and then that software basically interfaces back to kind of the main Presearch system. So when your node connects, our system then says, okay, that's another resource that we have access to. And so when somebody actually runs a search, the search comes through our system. It basically anonymizes it, so it removes all the personally identifiable information, and protects the searcher, and provides them with privacy. That search query that they run then gets distributed to one of these nodes, and then the nodes basically goes out to a bunch of different sources of data on the internet, and then it pulls in the relevant information, and then sends it back to our system that then displays it for the searcher. And then in the process, the person who contributed that node, they basically receive a fraction of a Presearch token for doing that work. And so that's kind of how the infrastructure works. And then to provide value to the entire token ecosystem, to kind of create demand for the token, we've basically mandated that the payments for ads happen through Presearch tokens. So that's what gives value to the tokens that are provided to searchers as a reward, and to the node operators as a reward. And we're using a pretty different model for the advertising platform right now. Normally how it works is, you associate a credit card, it's denominated in generally US dollars. Somebody comes in, they do a search, you basically create kind of a list of keywords that you want your ad to be displayed next to. And then you set kind of the maximum amount that you're willing to pay when somebody clicks on your ad. And then if you have the highest bid, your ad gets displayed, somebody clicks on it, and then Google or whoever bills your credit card. With the system that we've built, uses something that we've termed keyword staking. And so it's similar in that you also choose your keywords, and you have your ad displayed when somebody searches for that keyword. But with Presearch, there is no actual charge when somebody clicks on your ads. So it's a really huge value to marketers and advertisers. But what they have to do is basically have the most Presearch tokens committed to that keyword. So if I wanted, the keyword Andy, and there were 5 other people that wanted it, there would basically be kind of this auction-based bidding war. But it's not really costing you anything, because your tokens don't get depleted. You retain ownership of them, you retain control of them. But basically, as long as you have locked, staked, committed, any of those words are interchangeable to that given keyword, whoever has the most will have their ad displayed for the time that they have the most. So if you had 1,000 and I had 5,000, then my ad would be displayed. And so it's a way to basically create demand for the token, which then gives value to the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating, Colin. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to go through there, but so just to kind of touch on a couple of points, I guess, so what you're saying is there's a number of advantages of something like Presearch, right? Because from, the user's point of view, there's a privacy advantage, so you're not kind of getting tracked in the same way that you would with Google. There's, you talked about the reward, so that people using a Presearch can get reward tokens when they search or operate a node, and this advertising model that you're talking about, where advertisers can stake their tokens to a keyword. So yeah, this is it's interesting. What about something like Brave? Do you see that the Brave or the basic attention token ecosystem, are they doing something similar, or are there kind of differences, and do you see projects like that as competitors, or is it sort of too early, and potentially everyone can eventually build out the decentralized web?
Yeah, I mean, Brave is definitely very similar in many respects, and they're doing a great job on a number of levels. And so, yeah, I would say that they're, definitely competitive, but at the same time, we're all kind of just, the fly on the back of the elephant Google. Nobody really at this point has, any type of ceiling on the market. It's kind of wide open as far as alternatives to Google go. Nobody really has significant traction yet, so it's definitely similar. More the way that their model works is that they're basically kind of replacing the native ads on a website. So there's an ad blocker that's built in. And so the ads that the publisher themselves might display, which is how the publisher makes money, don't get displayed. And then Brave basically displays their own ads in place of that. And then they share some of the revenue with users, depending on kind of where you're located. It's applicable in certain geographies, not all. And then they basically give you the ability to donate some of the Brave BAT tokens that you earn to the publishers. And so if the publishers sign up to claim those rewards, it's a way that they can basically be compensated in lieu of the ads that are not being displayed on their site. And so it's definitely an innovation in advertising. There's definitely some interesting parallels, and yeah, they're doing a great job moving the whole space forward. So we've kind of taken the approach throughout the entire space that rising tides raise all ships, and so we've tried to basically find and promote any of the decentralized alternatives to big tech, and try to share the wealth and spread the love for any of the projects that are creating change. And so, yeah, definitely, Brave's in the space and doing some awesome things.
Great to hear, Colin. Very nice thoughts there. And just before we kind of bring it back to Presearch, one of the things that's interesting about, I guess, the modern internet experience in 2021, right? Because a lot of people really now, they kind of stay in their confined walls of whatever social media ecosystem they like to use, their kind of platform of choice there. And then once you sort of go out into the, I guess, hesitate to even call it the open web, but the different websites, so many of them now, I guess just because they're under pressure, but that they're almost unusable, just because the kind of the different ad banners and the pop-ups, and it's you have to sort of close 3 or 4 things just before you can even read the article, and then you try and you get to the bottom of the article and you want to read the comments, but there's all these outbrain ads, and they just keep popping up, so that you have to do kind of 3 or 4 actions scrolling just to be able to even click on the comments. It doesn't feel like that kind of model is sustainable, right? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we're at kind of a really interesting and slightly strange kind of transition point where you know, publishers are trying to figure out monetization methods that work, that don't, yeah, totally impede the user experience. And you know, it's been challenging. And you know, what I'm hopeful about, actually, it's, you know, blockchain related. There's kind of the starting slowly we're starting to see a rise of these social tokens. So using a platform like Rally, Rally, I think it's Rally.io. For instance, you can get you know, creators to basically build their own token that can be utilized within their own ecosystems, to be used as, you know, a payment method from advertisers. They can use them for rewards, and there's some really significant benefits that come along with being able to, you know, create a token and use it as that unit of account and method of payment within your ecosystem, to kind of, you know, preserve and accelerate wealth for the different stakeholders within that ecosystem. And I think we're starting to see that, you know, actually kind of beyond like the brand level, more at the creator level. But I think it's going to end up filtering up to different brands as well, that are aggregating different creators within their kind of audiences. And I'm hopeful that people are going to realize, you know, kind of the nice thing is if you can have a supportive audience that will buy and hold your token as basically a show of support for what it is you're doing. You're kind of able to essentially, you know, issue those from, you know, kind of the ether effectively. And it's something that has the potential to, as the network or the audience grows, increase in value. And so you do end up with this kind of like dual benefit, where, you know, it's similar to like a donation type model. A lot of people do things kind of altruistically for good intentions, but then they also dovetail in with kind of the personal interests and the benefit of the person who's doing the supporting as well. And so it's this really nice kind of win-win model. And I think that that's really going to be the future of publishers. Not necessarily this, you know, in the United States and North America, there's a type of car racing called NASCAR, where they just plaster these logos all over the cars, and a lot of people refer to those banner ads that you're talking about as like NASCAR ads, because it's just like, you know, in your face. There's kind of you know, no real harmony to it, and it you know, is distracting. And I think definitely in the future that kind of NASCAR ad model is going to go away, because it is just too you know, obtrusive. And I don't know that it really works particularly well for the advertisers either. There's really kind of, you know, two core types of advertising. You've got creative advertising, which would be those types of ads. You know, there might be some type of targeting, but you're effectively just like shoving an ad in the face of somebody who is not necessarily, you know, looking to be advertised to. And then you have directional ads, which is something more like what Google uses and what in the past Yellow Pages companies used. And they're actually, you know, the ad almost is part of the content, and it's very relevant. And it's when somebody basically indicates that they have some type of transactional intent, they're looking for something, and you as an advertiser have the ability to kind of be found alongside all of the options that the person has you know, gone to look for as they're doing their search. And those ads do tend to convert very well. You have very qualified traffic and intent behind them. And so you know, I think in particular, those who are trying to subsist off of creative advertising right now are going to need to look beyond that. And I think, yeah, these social tokens are a really interesting opportunity.
Yes, very nice again, Colin. And Yeah, I mean, I think in broader strokes, yeah, you're right. We are just in this kind of transitional phase, right? And we can see this kind of Web3 world kind of on the horizon, and there's different ways that different teams and projects are approaching it. And sometimes these things, they happen much faster than expected, and often it takes hindsight to realize that. So it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out. But let's close it out, Colin. So let's bring it back to Presearch, and I'd love to just kind of understand where you guys are in terms of, I guess, your product roadmap. Progress towards mainnet, and what kind of action points people can take if they want to engage with Presearch and what you guys are building out.
Awesome. Yeah, certainly appreciate that. Presearch has been active and usable since November of 2017. We've gone through a number of different iterations to get to the current platform, which is the node-powered platform using these decentralized nodes. It's currently running on a test net, so we've got about, I think, 2,400 nodes that are being operated by people all over the world. And so we're progressing towards moving off of basically the centralized nodes that we are currently running onto these user-powered nodes. And that's going to happen kind of sometime, let's say later in the summer or early fall. And we've got a number of steps on our roadmap just to really tighten up the user experience and ensure that we don't have any stumbling blocks as we start to really market the project. We've currently got about 2.2 million registered users. They're doing more than 1 million searches a day. We've kind of got all these different components of the ecosystem, active and integrated and actually working pretty well. So as soon as mainnet goes live, that just kind of provides a whole other layer of resilience to the network. It enables us to start geographically distributing nodes. They're currently basically all being served out of North America, which is not ideal for people like yourself in New Zealand or those in Europe, for instance. And so as we kind of have that geographic disbursement, then the latency times come down and the site gets more responsive. We're progressing towards that launch. And lots of opportunity for people to participate in the ecosystem. Certainly a lot of people are concerned about big tech's dominance of the space and want to be part of the solution. And so we're seeing quite a few new node operators sign up on a regular basis. Kind of the general way to connect with us is through the Telegram app. You can go to t.me/presearch or t.me/presearch nodes if you're specifically interested in operating a node. And then the website itself is presearch.io is kind of our information site. And then presearch.org is the actual website where you can go create an account, start earning tokens as you search. And then as we launch on mainnet, we're transitioning that over to presearch.com.
Excellent. Wonderfully said again, Colin. Thank you very much for coming on the show today. And look, we'll put links to those Presearch platforms that you've mentioned in the show notes. But yeah, look, hey, best of luck with the project. Be interesting to see how you guys progress and just keep building out the decentralized internet search, all that good stuff. I wish you nothing but the best, Colin. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Andy. Great to connect with your community. Take care.
All right, there you go. That was Colin Pape from Presearch. That was a good chat, Colin. He's a good talker, very articulate. So I enjoyed that. And look, if you're going to try and disrupt the world of internet search advertising, as lauded over by the likes of Google, well, you need to be fairly articulate, don't you? So yeah, it's good that there's all these different teams kind of working on different ways to try and disrupt that ad model and keep it decentralized. So yeah, interesting times as we move towards Web 3.0. But that is us for today. Haven't done the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round across the last couple of podcasts, but I'm sure we'll bring that back with our next lot of guests. So don't worry, it will come back. Nothing else to say really. Don't forget you can email me, andy@bravenewcoin.com. Please do subscribe to the Crypto Conversation in whatever podcast app you are using, and even give us a nice 5-star rating in Apple. That's always appreciated. All right, team, that's us for today. Thanks for listening. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin. See ya.